Hi, this is Jeff Kober. From a new DVC to next week's D23, customer loyalty reigns supreme at Disney. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome to Disney Insights. A hallmark of what has made Disney a world-class organization is its attention to its customers, and especially to return customers. They, of course, refer to them as guests in their parks, which is a sign that this commitment on Disney's behalf is intentional and is, well, frankly, more about relationships than it is about transactions. But there's a lot more intentional effort made when creating guest or customer loyalty. And we want to talk about that because it's important. Well, because loyal fans make purchasing decisions that are powerful to, well, anyone's bottom line. New announcements have been made about Disney's Lakeshore Lodge located on Bay Lake. And at the same time, preparations are being made for next week's big D23 event. Both showcase how impactful Disney loyalty is and how they benefit long-term financially, but also showcase how any organization could benefit by creating greater customer loyalty. So let's take a look at how from DVC to D23 guest loyalty reigns. Well, for decades, Disney has focused on the powerful impact of customer loyalty. You can't run an operation as huge as Walt Disney World without having significant repeat visitation. With some 30,000 official Disney and DVC rooms to fill alone, guests want to not only stay on property and, well, it's got to happen day after day, year after year. If visiting Disney were a one-and-done deal, they would be in deep trouble. That's why guest loyalty is so important. Repeat visitation matters, but to make that happen, the parks have to be worth coming back again and again. It's why Josh is concerned with turbocharging the park experience. It will cost you much more to get them to come back once they've decided it's no longer for them. So you got to keep them coming back. To that end, decades ago, I spoke in Disney Institute programs about how Disney was the #1 destination resort in the world, with repeat visitation in the parks making up more than 70% of the attendance, and room capacity at over 90%. It's fluctuated somewhat over the years, but the fact that it has maintained dominant status speaks to the fact that customer loyalty matters in a big way. Beyond guest repeat visitation, there are also two other reasons why guests loyal to Disney really matters at Disney. First, they spend more and more and more. They diversify their love of Disney, doing more of what they love and in different ways. But then there's a second important outcome to customer loyalty. They become an essential asset to Disney's marketing arm. When you love Disney, when you are a fan of Disney, you share it with others. You encourage others to experience Disney and be a part. Sometimes you even get them and bring them with you on your next trip. Word of mouth is powerful. Studies show that up to 92% of customers trust recommendations from friends and family over any other types of advertising. And yet, that word of mouth costs nothing to Disney. Therefore, pay attention to guest loyalty. By the way, customer loyalty isn't just for Disney. It's for any organization that wants to succeed. As I prepare for going to D23 next week, consider some of the other world-class organizations where customer loyalty matters, especially to my day-to-day activities. For instance, customer loyalty matters to organizations like Apple. As of right now, I am creating, shooting, and editing this video and podcast with iPhone products. I was introduced to Apple back in college, and since leaving Disney, purchased an Apple laptop and haven't looked back. In fact, I added an iPhone, an iPad, and an Apple Watch along the way, several actually. You should know that 92% of Apple's iPhone owners stick with Apple when thinking about their next purchase. And like Disney, it's intergenerational, with roughly 76% of US teenagers owning an iPhone. That means the future looks bright to companies like Disney and Apple. Since I began consulting and traveling heavily in my business, I have been a Delta flyer. I have well over 1 million miles under my belt with Delta. It's not perfect, but it is the top on time airline in North America, and that matters to me. I seldom consider flying any other than it and its partner airlines globally. It is considered the most valuable airline loyalty program in the world, with a market valuation of $31 billion, far outpacing American and United. And while I'm at D23, I'll be staying at a Marriott hotel. I remember a conversation with my brother years ago, and he shared a story of being on business in Miami. He said, if you want a safe and consistent hotel experience, stay at Marriott. I listened to that recommendation, and today I have lifetime titanium elite status or whatever. Some 7 of 10 room nights booked globally are done by its loyalty members. The long and short, world-class organizations like Disney focus on creating and catering to loyal customers. Shouldn't you? Whether you're a for-profit, nonprofit, or even a public sector organization, yes, government agencies live or die on the vine based on the value they bring to their constituents at the table. You should concern yourself with customer loyalty. To make customer loyalty succeed, Disney employs a large number of vehicles to facilitate that customer loyalty. They include everything from Club 33 and Castaway Club to even annual passes. Yeah, annual passes, and even Disney Plus. Let's highlight 2 of those that Disney is especially focusing on. By the way, if you love these kind of unique Disney detailed insights, fan-centered at times, business-centered in other moments, please subscribe. We believe we offer something others do not bring to the table. So thanks for subscribing and for sharing. Now, with DVC, members, well, just in the nomenclature, Disney has carefully crafted a loyalty program unique among its competitors. It's not a timeshare, it's vacation ownership. And you are members of the club. Disney Vacation Club, or DVC, provides Disney resort guests with a way of having club membership through a flexible, timeshare-style points program, granting annual allotments for stays at resorts, primarily at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Since its first property at Old Key West Resort, it has grown substantially. Not just across Walt Disney World at places like Disney's Boardwalk or Disney's Polynesian Village, but even at the Disneyland Resort, and also at Aulani on the island of Hawaii. Each have a different thematic experience, and members love that experience. This week, DVC made some announcements, hoping that it'll attract new members and old to make it their home away from home. To make it seem like home, they are drawing on the familiar, such as Disney's film Pocahontas. Drawing inspiration on this film, there will be a fiber optic river that will illuminate and run through the lobby area, while overhead, a blown glass colors of the wind sculpture will suspend hundreds of glass leaves as they seemingly blow through the entry space. At the heart of any home is food, so Moonglade will offer a table service dining experience overlooking Bay Lake. Imagine that at sunset. Originally, this was to be themed to Tiana, but a different approach has been created in its wake. Also nearby is a quick service marketplace, offering an open kitchen atmosphere, little woodland critters tucked away in the corners. Paint Out Point Bar and Grill builds on the notion of painting with all the colors of the wind. And then there's the Dandelion Terrace, where guests can join in to check out the fireworks across the lake and lagoon. Earlier, Disney announced that the wetlands would be a major part of the Lakeshore Lodge experience. Again, drawing on the Pocahontas theme, their pool and recreation area will carry a natural look and feel, but in an oversized kind of way. Honey, I Shrunk the Playground never looked quite like this. Heron Shores will offer a hands-on play area with climbing features, and really large herons, while Otter Springs will offer interactive water features that, yes, include really big otters and reeds and other vegetation. Nearby, the Daydream River allows guests to sit back, relax, and enjoy just what lies beyond the river bend. And then there are two pools, Lakeshore Lagoon, offering a zero entry pool and spiral water slide, with Cypress Point being on the other side, allowing for a quiet leisure pool and whirlpool spa. This one is positioned for enjoying the fireworks in the evenings as well. Disney's Lakeshore Lodge stands adjacent to Fort Wilderness, taking much of the former footprint of river country. This is interesting because some of the most loyal Disney guests are those who stay at Fort Wilderness. Many of them come not just for a few days or a week, they often make reservations for up to 30 days. And some bookend those reservations next to each other. Add the golf cart parades and the holiday theming. These people live a lifestyle you can't find at your typical KOA campground. Of course, much of what is being added will change the landscape and remoteness of Fort Wilderness in a major way. Still, many a camper have tried Crockett's Tavern and Hoop-de-Doo, as fantastic as it is, more than once. So, being your only neighborhood dining choice, maybe it's time for a change. And with reservations, they'll be able to find new dining choices and other spaces that they weren't able to enjoy before right there in that area. Disney is banking that this all-new resort destination will be a hit for those looking to own a little bit of Disney magic. And having people committed to vacation ownership commits guests to being and enjoying not only the resort property, but the surrounding Disney parks. Even in an economic turndown, Disney still has thousands of guests already committed to staying on property, from Copper Creek Villas to Disney's Riviera Resort. That's because they own points and have reservations planned, and so the properties guarantee that the parks have continual guest attendance. And how does it compare to other timeshare properties, many of which have built up their own experiences outside Walt Disney World's gates? Even in the early days, DVC was a massively successful vehicle for guest loyalty. Some 65% of guests have been repeat purchasers. That compares to 5% in other timeshare markets. And 80% recommend their experience to others, encouraging them to join. I'm speaking to you, John and Lori. The industry average anywhere is only 15%. Oh, and I didn't mention the cost of buying into all this is so much higher than your typical timeshare. Yes, John Smith and the early settlers may not have found gold when they encountered Pocahontas, but Disney has definitely found it with Disney Vacation Club. Let's look at another way that Disney caters to customer loyalty through fan engagement initiatives. D23 has truly succeeded in this field. Why would someone join D23? Perhaps it's best to call it FOMO. In one's fear of missing out, you miss access to special events, exclusive merchandise, and the opportunity to be in the room where it happens. When Disney legends are honored, celebrities show up to excite fans about upcoming films, and where new attractions announced and are showcased, it doesn't get you free merchandise or a free movie, and definitely won't get you a free park pass, but it does allow you to be a part of the pilgrimage where Disney fans come and celebrate their Disneyness. D23 is the official fan club for the Walt Disney Company. Its genesis began in theater fan clubs, where Walt Disney himself started the first official theater-based Mickey Mouse Club on June 29th, 1929, at the Fox Dome Theater in Venice, California. It grew to over 60 nationwide chapters with millions of members before it was phased out somewhere in 1935. Over the years, Disney has catered to fans through different forms, Magic Kingdom Club being one of them. But seeing the success of San Diego's Comic-Con go from 300 in 1970 to evolving to becoming the largest convention of its kind in the world in the early 2000s, Disney realized there was an opportunity of its own. D23 began on March 10th, 2009. The words D23 were shared in different forums with no explanation leading up to Bob Iger's announcement at an annual company meeting. D is for Disney. 23 is for the year the organization was established, 1923, when Walt came out to California, was joined by his brother Roy, and together they began their animation enterprise in their uncle's garage. While there have been many facets to becoming a member, the big reason is the D23 Ultimate Disney Fan Event, which I still simply refer to as D23 Expo. These events have offered, among other things, a Disney Legends Awards ceremony. These began back in 1987 when Fred MacMurray received its first, but the Disney Hall of Fame ceremonies became more than a quaint event on the studio lot. It became a major bookend to the entire D23 Expo experience. Movie stars, Imagineers, celebrities, animators, and executives have been given this honor, and Disney fans love the opportunity to be there when it is bestowed. Exclusive first looks at film, television, and streaming projects, that's a big part of this event. This rollout is the biggest commercial of its kind, but it is often where new films and shows are announced. And to introduce these, many actors and performers show up to D23 to talk about their latest project. Well, how about upcoming attractions for Disney parks? When I was a young kid, the corner shop across from the Emporium showcased future attractions coming to Disneyland. I knew all about Discovery Bay long before people know about it today. And even though it was never built, as well as other showcase never built attractions such as Fantasia or Dumbo's Circus Land, it was one of my favorite places at Disneyland as a kid, and I would sit on the ground and just gaze at the maps and images and the models shown. One time I was so focused on it, I didn't even see that Chip and Dale had actually joined me as well. At times, I think I was the only one in this space staring at all of this. Now it's attended by thousands of others. And in addition to the showcase made by Disney Imagineering on the floor of the convention center, people now pay an additional fee to actually sit and be told what is going to come to the Disney parks during one of the nights at the Honda Center. That's unbelievable. Also, pop-up stores happen at D23 with exclusive merchandise. It is so massively popular that long lines form even when they're running a virtual queue. Many of the establishments, D23 Marketplace, the Walt Disney World Company Store, Mickey's of Glendale, and the Disney Studio Store, Hollywood, are just among the different places guests go to shop. Then there are Disney history presentations. Here's a favorite of mine because they're often hosted by archivists for the Walt Disney Company or by artists and actors and Imagineers who were there when it happened. Masquerade fan costume contests are huge at D23. Some of the craziest costumes can be found there. People spend months and months fashioning these outfits, and then they have to find a parking space and go through the entire experience schlepping that said outfit. It's a sacrifice and dedication from some of the most ardent and creative Disney fans. And finally, Walt Disney Archives curates an exhibit. It's, again, a favorite of mine, as they unearth relics from the vaults and they put them together in a temporary display. There have been different themes over the years, from pirates to Disney vehicles to Disney's 100th anniversary. You can always find something you've always wanted to see up close. The first D23 event was held in 2009. I was there. It announced a new Fantasyland for Magic Kingdom. It also showcased an overhaul for Disney California Adventure, a big expansion, including Mystic Manor for Hong Kong Disneyland, and a new model for what would be the Disney Fantasy and Dream cruise ships. 2 years later, 2011's D23 Expo expanded in Imagineering's Carousel of Projects exhibit many of the attractions that had been announced in 2009. You could see a car from Radiator Springs Racer. You could see a statue going on the Disney Fantasy cruise ship. And you could also see a large model showing what the Fantasy Forest at Magic Kingdom would be all about, to include the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You could see that 2009 was about making announcements and 2011 was to get you excited by giving you the details of what was announced. Kind of probably what will happen this year. By the time 2013 rolled around, attendance for the expo was around 65,000 people. In 2015, it was notable because Bob Iger announced a new Star Wars land, and not just for one resort destination, but for both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. I was there, and the excitement was palpable. There was a FOMO moment I am glad I did not miss. Fast forward, by 2024, some 100,000 attended what was now called the Ultimate Disney Fan Event. The biggest events focusing on Disney film and television, on Disney parks and experiences, and celebrating its Disney legends was now moved to the Honda Center and required an additional paid ticket, which Disney fans readily paid. These venues will be packed during D23, and guests will pay to be a part, to not miss out on any of it. FOMO leads them to D23 in Anaheim, and D23 feeds their fandom for months and years to come. Like DVC, it is a great vehicle for building customer loyalty. So, from these two examples, whether DVC or D23, let's consider some key points in all of this. First, customer loyalty matters if you want to be a successful world-class organization. Thus, you have to pay attention to it. Second, Disney incrementally is a growth company because more fans are embracing the many worlds of Disney more than ever before. 3, creating fans for a lifetime means creating a strategy for lifetime growth like D23, DVC, and more. Disney vehicles, well, they offer vehicles by which their big fans can more engage, allowing them to commit to being an even bigger fan. So what's the takeaway for you and for your organization? Well, consider these souvenirs. How important is that your customers continue to do repeat business with you? Second, how does customer loyalty play into your own organization's growth strategy? Third, what vehicles are you putting in place whereby you can cultivate greater customer loyalty? Thanks for joining us. We look to celebrate all things Disney with news, analysis, discoveries, and best in business applications. Please subscribe and know that, hey, we'll be sharing information, videos, and more next week at D23 with all the announcements. And know that with a smile and a song, a little faith, effort, and pixie dust, your dreams can come true. After all, if we can dream it, we can do it. Until next time, bright suns, we'll see ya real soon.